Today's guest is from Bakersfield, California. He is a resilient leadership strategist, keynote speaker, coach, and author of the book In Different Strokes, Embracing Life's Adversities. He has an undergraduate in business management and his master's in organizational management, and he is a member of the Les Brown Maximum Achievement Team and the National Speakers Association. Welcome to the show, Terrance Minnoy. How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Hey, man, I shouldn't say good morning. It's afternoon, but it's great to be here, man. Thank you for having me on, really.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming on. How does that sound when I say all that?
Man, you know, it's my life. So obviously I hear it quite often, but it's when it's said out loud by others out loud. Yeah, it definitely is different for sure. It definitely makes you reflect real quick.
Yeah, it's always a journey. Like Les Brown is one of those guys that was one of the first motivational guys that I really connected to.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to him a lot during my career.
Yeah.
That guy is special, man. That guy is a special individual.
Yeah. Yeah. And very much so, Nick, even prior to me getting involved in the speaking industry, like yourself, being an athlete, I came across Les Brown as well. And I also came across him once I got involved in business as an entrepreneur. I got involved in network marketing back in 2001 or so. And so, as you know, in network marketing, they really push personal development and associations and listen to the right things and things like that. And I was really introduced to him as well as others at that time. And I became a huge fan and actually was able to meet him a couple of times even prior to that. So it's really crazy how life has its turns.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But how you been doing? How you been doing with all the COVID going on? How's it affected? Is it affected you personally?
Yeah, you know, it hasn't affected me personally. I mean, I know a couple people that younger people who have it, who had it, and they seem to come right through it. But as far as myself, by God's grace, man, I've been blessed through it all. And honestly, when it first happened, Nick, I saw this whole thing as an opportunity, especially with me being at home. I knew it was an opportunity for me to get some things done. That's for one. But I tend to see every type of stallage or setback as an opportunity, and that's the way I saw this. And so, for me, man, COVID has been fine, but definitely, you know, praying for the world when it comes to this thing.
Yeah, it's plant season right now. Got to plant those seeds.
Man, this is the time to do it. I mean, when this first jumped off, I was posting about that. Like, this is opportunity time right now. This is not the time to think scarcity and think like, no, you know, this is when you go. And speaking of that, it's funny. I'm building a new house. Just signed a contract weeks ago. They just started trenching a few days ago. I mean, so during COVID, I'm moving forward with things. And yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Because, you know, with the state of the world right now, you know, you have the BLM movement, you have everything going on. And then it's just like the perfect storm that everybody was locked up in the house. Everybody's like looking at the TV and see what happens to George Floyd and just to be present in that. Like, you see a lot more people marching, like a lot of races. Like, when you see Japan and different countries and Germany and things like that, it's like, what does that mean to you, and how does that make you feel to know that so many people are on board with equality today? Then I look at 50 years ago when Martin Luther King marched, it was just Martin and the people, and there was a couple sprinkled in and out. But now it's definitely a movement.
Yeah, man. I feel so. First of all, I'm just elated. It warms my heart to see not only, you know, American white people being involved in this and using their energy, using their voice concerning this matter, but to see other countries and not just a few people in countries. There have been huge rallies, cities shutting down to have rallies for the movement, for the Black Lives Movement, and more so, not just the Black Lives, but again, injustice, inequality in any form, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that the core of it is the Black Lives Matter movement. And, obviously George Floyd being, kind of the centerpiece as far as the visual for this, to see any African-American, besides Obama, being kind of edified, celebrated. No, not edified and celebrated for the life he lived, because people are quick to pick apart, what he did, how he was living, right? No, but the fact that he symbolizes something for all of us, regardless of his background. And again, kind of like Obama was, he was celebrated all over the world for who he was, obviously for different reasons. But the fact that somebody that looks like you and I, in modern day, regular guy, right, being used to celebrate this matter, man, it's beautiful.
Do you see Dave Chappelle's 846?
No, I haven't, man. I've heard of. Matter of fact, I want to say one of my buddies just texted. Yeah, it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere.
All right.
It's only 27 minutes long.
Okay, cool.
It's straight to the point.
I'm on a writing schedule, but I think tonight after I write, bam, I'm gonna watch that, man. Because you're like the second person who said that to me in the last couple of days.
Yeah, he's definitely on point with everywhere he goes with it. And Dave, you know how Dave will start somewhere and then he circles, he just drives you through.
Yeah.
Then he finishes it off right back at the same place.
Yeah.
My point is proven, and then he's out of there. And I just thought it was so genius what he did and how he put things. And one of the statements he made is we didn't choose George Floyd. They chose George Floyd, right?
Wow.
Like, we didn't choose these people. Like, we're not choosing the people that are dying. It's other people that are choosing these people.
Absolutely.
And he ties it in very well. So, check that one out. That's going to be – it's powerful. It's powerful.
I promise you I will. I promise you either tonight, within the next 24, 48 hours, I'm going to knock it out.
And, one of the biggest things is being able to have this conversation. And Dave does such a great job of talking about race and about these circumstances in a way that doesn't make other races defensive. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I've been able to have some conversations with people. And my biggest thing is not about finger pointing and blaming, but it's about truth and understanding. Right.
Yes.
And where do we find that truth? And where do we find that understanding in moving forward? Do you have any idea of anything we can do to be better, to not just explaining where we're coming from, but to how we move forward? Because you're a leader, and you're a leader of communities, you're a leader of men, and you're a leader of people. How can we do better of getting the message across without all the Facebook stuff and all the other extra stuff that exists?
Yeah. And I was just talking to somebody about this a few days ago, and I really think that this is the perfect time. The first thing we need to do is listen. And I'm not even talking about just listening to those that sound like us, but even listen to those who oppose us, and try to, for 1 second, half a second, put yourselves in their shoes. Not only put yourselves in their shoes, because when we tend to say that, Nick, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, we think about where they are right now.
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes. That, you know what? They may have grew up in a community where there was no African Americans. They may have grew up in a community where, where it was taught no fault of their own, from the time they were toddlers, that, Black and brown people, are bad, things like that. They may have grew up in a community where there was no hip hop music. They may have been engulfed in the culture. So I try to look at it from that point as a person, is talking.
Yeah.
And so currently I'm working on my International Coaching Federation accreditation as a coach, as an executive coach. And one thing I'm learning, Nick, and I think you can attest to this because you're an athlete and you're outspoken and a leader as well. One thing you learn about coaching is that it should be a 75-25 split between you talking and you listening, right? So what I try to do is take that into my personal life as well and try to listen more than I interject. One thing that you don't do as a coach, or you try not to do, is interject when your client is talking.
Yeah, true.
Or they call it stacking, asking multiple questions at one time. I find that when I practice that in my personal life, I'm just so much more at peace. I'm better at actively listening and hearing what somebody is saying. So the first thing I always tell people to do, let's just try to listen. Because a lot of times we want to shout first, and that automatically turns the conversation in a crazy way, right?
Yep.
So let's listen. The second thing I always let people know, and whether a person is spiritual or not, is even as a person is talking, Nick, I can be saying, bless them, God. Help them, God. You know what I'm saying? There's something about hoping goodness on someone regardless of what their stance is.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. But I just learned as I've gotten older, I'll be 50 in 7 months. So I just got older to kind of learn that piece of it and know that me wishing somebody well, regardless if they think like me, look like me, or whatever, it tends to help me in a major way. And then getting specific as well. Obviously, as African-American men, okay, we need to set the tone, make sure that we're setting the tone. Obviously, we're upset about what's happening in the community to us, but we also have to think about what's happening in the community within our own communities as well. Yes, so that starts with showing some love, showing some respect to our fellow brothers. And because honestly, if we don't respect one another, it's tough for us to show respect to others as well. So those are maybe like the 3 key things that I've talked to. I remember having this conversation, again, like I said, 2 or 3 days ago, but I think that's a start. Lastly, I'll say this, Nick, I work full-time in pharmaceutical sales industry, one of the largest companies in the world, GlaxoSmithKline. And I've had an opportunity for the VP of sales in my organization to actually have myself and 4 other African Americans from across the country get on a call with her, probably within a week or so after George Floyd, and it's continued since then, once every month. That's but awesome. to see corporations really not pandering, but really trying to listen to the concerns of the African Americans, especially those of us who are in the organization. And no, we don't want a handout. We don't want you to treat us any different. What we don't want you to do, though, is not give us an opportunity because of our color. You get what I'm saying? 100%. And so lastly, I'll say this, Nick. The reason why we see so much support with this movement, Black Lives Movement, equality, so forth and so on, is because people actually got to see what you and I have been seeing all of our lives.
Yeah.
Now, what do I mean by seeing all of our lives? Yeah, we probably saw some of it actually physically, but the systematic knee on the neck that's something we've done. We've dealt with that all of our lives. You see what I'm saying? We've had that, we felt that knee on our necks, whether it be in corporate America, whether it be in, again, in the interview, school boards, housing planning commission, whatever things we are involved with that involves a large group of us, we felt that need. It's just that it's been, it's just been more so perceived versus actually seen.
Yeah.
So we've talked about it, we've cried about it, but now people got to see exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. You know,
Yes,
seeing
sir.
that video does something to you.
It does, man. It
Does
does.
something to you.
It really does.
When we talk about the perception of the black male, do the movies we make dictate that as well? Like, you know how they say we want to portray our environment, how we were raised. You know, John Singleton's big on that. R.I.P. John Singleton, right?
Yes,
Boys
sir.
in the Hood, and you got all these other movies. And when you portray the black males as these types of characters, and then in other movies they're playing these types of characters, and then I never meet anyone black. So the first thought I have is if I seen one of these movies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that goes to Nick. Some of the misunderstandings that people have, others have of us. You got to sit back sometime and go, okay, I kind of get it a little bit. I can see, because that's all you've seen.
Yeah.
That's all you've seen. What I'm hoping is that what you've seen is that you don't really think of that as just that's only our reality.
Yep.
Right? Yes, that's our reality, but it's not our only, reality. So I get it. That's what they see. Now, another person may say, well, we shouldn't portray, our black men that way in these types of movies. Well, that's our reality.
That's the reality.
Right? That's why we think, we think it's bad to do a drive-by shooting or whatever, but we know of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? And when you know of things that have happened like that, or people have been involved in like that, you reflect, you watching that stuff, and so you're a little more attracted, to seeing some of those things. So I really think it's up to us as individuals is to try to break that plane that people may have, because they have this perception of the way we are. And again, that really goes into, first of all, us respecting one another.
That's it.
Me easily being able to look at you and say, man, you're awesome, brother. You've done some great things in your career, and really be authentic about it and understand it doesn't take anything away from me to edify you for your greatness.
Exactly.
I have found, Nick, in our community that people feel like giving somebody else props is taken away from them.
Yeah, and that's so wrong.
No, and that's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it definitely starts with showing that respect amongst one another. And then, of course, when we go out into the community and we meet people, we go about our jobs or whatever we're doing, and that we put our best foot forward. And unfortunately, though, it seems like when the people who don't put the best foot forward tend to get all of the limelight, right? Get all of the shine.
The 10%.
The world star stuff. They're watching that, right? Versus
10%.
watching a podcast like this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? With two educated black men, so forth and so on, that can also, and here's the key, also we can sit here and talk about, yes, how great the things we've done as well, but we can also say, you know what, man, I haven't always done things right either.
Yeah, 100%.
Come on, man. People can relate to that, Nick. And you know it. You've spoken in front of rooms before. People don't want to feel, always want to know how special you are. They want to know how similar you are. And how do you do that? You show authenticity. You gotta let people know, yes, this is great. I've had a great career in the CFL. I've done this and that. But you know what? I probably would have been further along if I hadn't done this, and that.
Exactly.
Right? Because people are looking at their lives that way. They're going, man, I wish I would have did this and that. And they think you got it all together. When really you're going, no, I got it together enough to be where I am. But you know what? I probably could be further. I know that's true for me for sure.
Oh yeah, when you go through those times and you're just in those moments and growing up, man, it's just we face all these hurdles and the hurdles become demons if you don't deal with them correctly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about growing up to become the man you are now. Growing
Yes,
up in
sir.
Bakersfield. You play sports?
Yeah, man. I grew up playing. I was pretty good in. First of all, I was good in gymnastics. Back then, it was all about turning backflips and all that stuff. So I was pretty good, pretty good at that, doing that out on the grass. But then I was pretty good in track, flag football as a youth, and I got involved in youth football. And like one of the first preseason games, I did something to my knee, really messed it up really bad. I actually have a small rod in there right now. And even today when people ask me about it, I'm like, I don't even know, man. I was like 12 years old. My mom took me and so forth. So on. I remember having surgery and things like that. But then I got into high school. I steered more towards basketball because I thought I was pretty good at basketball, and I saw it as a way out. And so I kind of wanted to stay away from football just because of that. And also I had a high school basketball coach that didn't like us playing football as well, because that delayed us, playing basketball. But now I look back, and a lot of my buddies who played football and this and that, and they go, man, you would have been a great DBT if you would have did it, this. And I said, you know what, you're right, man. I wish I would have. So basketball was my thing, man, and I was a decent high school basketball player. Got a few letters and recruited and things like that. Ended up going to Idaho State University and playing my freshman year there, and which was pretty cool. I was a backup point guard my first year. And then I decided to transfer. We were 6-21, man. We were garbage. And so the coach got fired, right? But this new coach came in. He's like, hey, we're going to honor your scholarship, so forth and so on. But one of the assistants went to a small college in the Los Angeles area called the Masters University. And he was the one who recruited me. And as you know, when you're recruited by somebody, you kind of attached to him.
Yeah.
And so I decided to follow him. He said, man, it's a smaller school. It's a Division III, whatever. But hey, you'll love it. And it was an hour away from Bakersfield. So it all worked out. And I'm so glad I went there, Nick. So let me tell you. So when I finished my basketball career, I still had some credits to graduate. So I had to go to school maybe another semester. And they actually took care of that, man. I honored my scholarship until I graduated.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, brother. So
that's awesome.
So basketball is my thing, man.
Basketball is my favorite sport.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I grew up. I love basketball more than football, but growing up in Texas, it was one of those things where you had to play football. Like literally, my football coach told me I had to play, and I guess it worked out. But 14 years.
It worked out.
So I enjoyed it. I actually played in a basketball all-star game and a football all-star game coming out of high school.
Okay.
So I was pretty versed at both, and I love the aspects of sports, of what it teaches you.
Yes.
You're such a leader now. When did you grow into that? Was it when you played on those sports teams? Were you the leader of those teams, even in high school and college?
So one thing I've been blessed with is the gift of gab. So I can talk, right? I can talk. Can I always tell people can I expand my vocabulary? Absolutely. I want to get better at that. Still working on that. But as far as being a person that didn't mind standing in front of a group and speaking my mind or motivating or things like that, that started. My mom had me at church at a young age, and I can remember her having me read the offertory scripture in front of the church, and I can remember standing there as a young kid and my mom standing next to me to help me read through it. And I was nervous, but I wanted to. I loved being in front of the room and talking. So it kind of started there. And then, so obviously being one of the better athletes, you're already going to be pushed to the front. You already know that.
Yep.
Then if you can talk too, right, and you're not afraid to talk, right, that's going to push you as well. And I know for a fact, Nick, I am where I am today, and I'm doing what I do today. My passion is what it is right now. It started way back there, back in 1982, maybe, somewhere back then. Serious, Nick. Like I said, I know I was joking about your age a little earlier, but honestly, man, back then is when I really started talking in front of people, in front of groups, motivating, and then realized that in other arenas, people would push me or ask me to be involved, whether it was debate team, whether it be, presidential council at high school, these different things where people saw my talent to speak and putting me out there. And I know for a fact that helped me in my interviews, in my career, right? It helped me as I built businesses, things like that. It's helped me so much in that. And so I thank God, man, for the gifts that he gave me and allowed me to, or made me, push me to put them to work right away.
I talk a lot about confidence and competing in life.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit in a chair across from someone interviewing for a job, if you look like you can't do the job, if you're nervous about doing the job, I mean, they're going to be able to tell, right?
Yeah.
If you're competing with other people that's going to sit in the same chair,
Mm-hmm.
everything that you display in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
everything that you display that you are,
Mm-hmm.
and its capabilities of doing that job, and through sports, I learned all of that. If I broke the huddle and looked like I wasn't getting the ball, or if I broke the huddle and looked like I was afraid that we wasn't going to win this game, if I ran on the field, you'd be like, yeah, he ain't ready to play today. Like this is everything that we learn in sports to be able to go out there and achieve what we achieve. And it's so good to hear how you translated, everything in basketball over to that business world.
Mm-hmm. It's the show up factor.
Yeah.
It's how you show up, right? You and I have been taught from when we were toddlers, man, that showing up is key. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, you were a star as a child, you started with high school, college, this and that. It's all because you showed up. You've always exuded an air of confidence, right? Even when we have insecurities about ourselves, sometimes about our talent, we still tend to, certain people just exude confidence anyway, and you don't want to be a fraud. So you show up and you live in it, right? It's like this, as you were talking, I was thinking about, I'm also a college basketball official. I've been doing it for the last 20 years.
That's awesome.
And let me tell you this, man. I can make a bad call or I'll miss a call, but once the whistle blows, the whistle is blown. I can't reverse the call, right? Right? I may pop the whistle, but I'm going, gosh darn it, oh, I wish I hadn't, wish I had waited a half a second on that. But when I run to the table and I report, and everybody probably knows this is a tough call, bad call, whatever, I guarantee you that coach goes, maybe he was right. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because even though I made that, the way I showed up and the way I went to the table, we always joke about that amongst officials. You go to the table with confidence. No, you're doing your whole thing. Even though in your head, you're going, damn, missed that one, right? Because you can't show that on the court as an official. You can't show like, oh man. I may go to the coach, have my hand over my, hey Nick, my bad, man. If I can have that back, man, I apologize. That type of thing. A lot of times coaches say, no problem, Terrance, whatever. So I find that's the same thing, in life as well, man, is that we just, that confidence, always exuding that confidence. It definitely came from sports. It definitely came from refereeing basketball, but it's definitely the way we have to walk into these boardrooms. It's definitely the way we have to walk into these interviews in sports and things like that, that you've been blessed to do. We have to definitely exude that in every area of our life, with the understanding that we're not perfect. We're gonna mess it up. We're gonna get it wrong, and it's okay to say, I got that one wrong. Doesn't take anything away from you. Doesn't mean you're not confident, right? Now, do you want to say that 1,000,000 times in a row? No, that's gonna be a problem. But right? But you do want to care, and I thank God for sports, man, for really showing me that, and then of course business as well, having to execute that in front of people, and more so that confidence that you have, Nick. Now you have to transfer to other people.
That's it.
especially when you're leading a voluntary army, say like in network marketing,
Yep.
right? Where people not getting there. It's easy to do that when you got a regular check. People working for a company, right? Everybody on board, yeah. But when it's voluntary, that's a whole different skill set you need to have.
And I've always equated it to security versus freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The security of knowing you're getting a check, but the check you're getting is what someone thinks you're worth doing that job.
Yep.
Compared to network marketing, you get paid as much as you are worth to that company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you go out and do a great job, they're going to pay you for it.
Yeah. And in some cases, you can be in a position, if you do it right and you do it long enough, where you start getting paid when you're not necessarily bringing that energy to the forefront. Does you make sense? Meaning, if you decide to build a team,
yes,
right? If you decide to build leverage, you may not be giving as much energy as you did, when you got started. But that's the key to it, right? You want to be temporarily ambitious so you can be permanently lazy one day, as a mentor told me. And so that's the beauty of that. I will say this, though. I've always been an advocate. I've had a great corporate America career. In whatever job I was in, I started out, at JCPenney's as a management trainee. I went on to Pepsi Cola as an account manager there. And then I got into the pharmaceutical industry as well. So, I've had a good career as far as corporate America is concerned. And I don't know if it's just a Capricorn in me, but or whatever, but I've always believed in multiple streams of income.
Yes, indeed.
You can make it happen. You can have a full-time building something outside, doing that. But here's the key. Nick, is you must honor the job, wherever, the career, the business that you're in. See, I believe that a lot of my success outside of corporate America has come because I've honored what God has given me. I'm honoring that.
Yep.
And then so he's honoring the other stuff that I'm trying to do. So I'm not stealing or taking away from my company. I'm giving them my 100%. But like Jim Rohn says, right? Work your job from 9 to 5, and then, what is it? Build your fortune or build your dream, right? From 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, you know how the saying goes. And so I think we can do that. And, and at the same time, there's people who've had much success right off the bat in their own business, network marketing, and more power to them. We all have our story. We all have our journey. What I love about network marketing, what we've been doing, Nick, and I know you've had success in multiple companies, is that we have, basically always had the mindset of how can I serve more people?
That's it.
See, corporate America, yes, I know I'm serving people, kind of what I'm doing, whatever, but there's something about that direct touch, though, whether it be through the phone or talking, this and that, or sharing your words or sharing your story with other people. So,
well, when you left college, and how long did it take you to figure out you were going to go for your master's in organizational management?
Hey, man, thank you, man. You definitely did your homework, bro. Thank you. You know what? I definitely, when I got out of college, I finished in 1994. And it's when I got my degree. And I knew I wanted to take a breather from school. I wasn't the greatest student. That was okay. I did well enough to get my degree. I definitely earned that. But I wanted to give it a little breather. So I actually went, me and my best friend, we moved in together for a few years. And but I always knew that in order to separate myself, I had to at least get a master's, right? And especially at that time, this was early 2000s. It was like, man, you really want to set everybody's getting a bachelor's. You got to separate yourself by getting a master's. And so it took me about 4 or 5 years. So I was out of school, started working, this and that. 4 or 5 years later, I decided to go back. And let me tell you, I went to the University of Phoenix. So I did the program. And to keep in mind, at that time, these types of programs weren't looked at like they are now.
Yes.
Right now, it's all good. You can go to Phoenix, all these other schools, you're gonna be online, whatever. It's all good. But back then, it was kind of new. But I'm so glad that I did. It was a 2-year process. I decided to get that, and it fit right in with what I was doing. Because at that time, I had just got involved in network marketing. It was all about organizing, right?
Yeah.
Being able to organize a team, but also from what I was doing in corporate America as well was something that benefited me as well. Was going back to get that master's degree. So about a 4 or 5 year little time to think it through and take a little break from school.
And then what was your 9 to 5 during that time?
My 9 to 5 at that time, so I started Pepsi Cola because I can remember. I was at Pepsi at that time because I can remember getting the reimbursement checks. You know, they were giving me for every class. It was $1,000 they were giving me back, you know, to pay for it. So I thank God for Pepsi Cola, man, for helping. And like I said, man, I have no complaints about my corporate career, man. It's been a blessing, and but yeah, so I was at Pepsi, man. I was slanging that soda, man.
Slanging soda?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Going up against Coca-Cola. We call it Coca-Cola.
What do you drink now, Pepsi or Coke?
You know what? I'm more of a Pepsi guy. Like, if I'm going to go in and choose now, if somebody asks me, you know, what I want, I'm going to say Pepsi. But if they bring Coke, I ain't mad at them.
Yeah.
You know, when they do that. Yeah. It's funny, though, how that loyalty stays in you the rest of your days. I spent 5 or 6 strong years there. And my loyalty to them was great. Like their water, Pepsi's water, at least in America, is Aquafina. Whereas Coke's water is Dasani.
Yes.
Right? So every opportunity, even to this day, to get a Aquafina over a Dasani, I'm going to do that. So it's weird how that happens, man.
They both acidic.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a water specialist.
They both ain't good for me. Right?
Yeah.
They both ain't good for me. So.
So you have the name Terrance Miracle Minnoy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why Miracle's in there? And what happened?
And let me tell you, it's definitely not something that I woke up one day and said, "Hey, I'm a miracle," you know, things like that. So February 9th, 2015, I was at a mall with a friend of mine, and we were celebrating her birthday, and this is down in the Los Angeles area. And we were walking in a mall, and I had just finished at my hotel. I had just finished working out. I mean, I felt wonderful, Nick. Just felt great. It was a great day that day. I can remember taking pictures. It was a beautiful day in Los Angeles. I remember making a couple of posts and things like that. And when I was out to dinner with this friend, we were walking through this mall, and as we were walking and just chit-chatting, all of a sudden, all the energy from my body was zapped. I mean, Nick, I had to sit down immediately. I mean, like now, I had to sit down. Luckily, we were walking, there was a chair where I could sit down. When that happened, I kind of came to, you know, kind of gathered myself a little bit, and I realized that one of my eyes wasn't working right. So all of a sudden, I was tired, and one of my eyes wasn't working right. I remember we were in front of a Bloomingdale's, and where we were sitting, I couldn't see the whole word. I had to scan to see the whole word. I just thought that was odd. And then we went into a shoe store. And Nick, she was probably about 20 feet away from me. And I can hear her asking me about a shoe. And as she was asking me about this shoe, again, about 20 yards away from me, somewhere 20 feet away from me or so, I hear this other voice, and it was the sales lady. And I was like, where's that voice coming from? Well, Nick, when I just looked over just slightly to the right, the sales lady was right next to her. Now, I didn't know it at that time, Nick, but I had a blind spot to develop right there because of that TIA, like transient ischemic attack is what they call it, a warning stroke. That's what happened to me when all my energy was zapped. Now, I didn't know that at the time. If I knew that, I'd have left and went to the hospital right then, but I didn't know it then. But the reason why I couldn't see this other salesperson right next to my friend is because she was in a blind spot. So I had to look over to see who she was. I thought that was odd. So the next morning I wake up, Nick, and I still wasn't feeling well, so I drove from Los Angeles all the way back to Bakersfield, went straight to my eye doctor, and he examined me, and I can see fine, but this little spot, this was kind of weird. So he said, you know what, Terrance, everything looks fine. He said, if I were you, I would get an MRI or a CAT scan to see if anything is going on in your brain. Now, Nick, we're athletes, right?
Yeah.
Feeling good or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna walk this off, right? I'm gonna go home, take me a little aspirin or whatever. I'm gonna lay down, just kind of relax a little bit. And I was doing that for about an hour and a half. All of a sudden, the room started spinning. I realized as I raised up in bed that I couldn't control my left arm. It was really weird. Then I tried to stand up and lift myself out of bed, and I found myself holding onto the wall and eventually sliding down the wall uncontrollably. Found myself on the floor. It was crazy, Nick, because my face started contorting. I thought, this is odd. And I thought to myself, I think I'm having a stroke. And luckily, I yelled for my son, who happened to be at my house, and he was home, and got me to the ER. And then I had a third stroke at that point because the clot had moved. And so getting back to your question, why people call me miracles. So after I had these 3 strokes within 24 hours, and all the rehab and learning to walk again and things like that, when people saw me out in the community, they saw me starting to improve and this and that, because it was documented, videos, things like that. And people would say, man, you're a walking miracle. They would just keep saying that, walking miracle. So when I decided to start my brand, in speaking and coaching and things like that, I was trying to think of a name. It was Minnoy Motivation. Then I thought, miracle, let me add the miracle. And I noticed that it was a nice ring to it. And people started, liking it and giving me some props for it. So I ran with it. So that's where the miracle comes from. It's because people saw me progressing through my recovery, and they started calling me Miracle.
How long was the recovery?
So the recovery for me, it took me a month to walk again. It probably took me 3 months to start jogging again, kind of jogging, being able to try and hold my balance myself. And I would say about the 4th or 5th month is when I started really kind of running on a treadmill. So I would say in total, so they say when you have a stroke, recovery is lifelong. To be honest with you, there are some things even to this day, 5 years later, that I go, oh, this is getting better. But I was out of work almost a year, and about 9 months or so. And that's when I felt like I was back enough to at least go back to work. I wasn't fully, myself like I am today, but I felt I was ready to go back at that time. So about 9-10 months for me, man. I was lucky.
And that's a hurdle. That's something that we don't ever envision trying to make it back from, and what allowed you to go there? What allowed you to come back so strong and so motivated?
The first thing is, man, I've always been, in the church. My mom had me in the church. I've always been a believer. And the first thing I did not do is, blame God for it. And I didn't ask him, why me, right? I just didn't do that. I did say, God, if it's your will, then so be it. I don't want more, but if more comes my way, if that's what you have for me, then it is what it is. I'm going to continue to praise you anyway. I consider it my Job moment, for those who know the story of Job in the Bible. So that was first thing. Second thing was I kept visualizing myself. Look, Nick, you and I we got some highlight reels.
Yeah.
Right? We have some pictures of ourselves, looking good and strong and feeling great. So I just kept visualizing myself in a better place, that I'm going to come through this. And here's the deal, Nick. I had an actual stroke, but let's be real. You and I have been having strokes all of our lives, right?
Yeah.
We've had, whether it's our growing up, it's our environment. We went through things. I mean, I had my first son when I was 17 years old. I was still in high school, right? That's a stroke. You know what I'm saying? So many other things, right? Growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, poverty, things like that. So I realized that I've overcome a lot in my life before. So I kept visualizing myself overcoming this particular situation. And then the third thing I did was kind of like what I was talking to a client maybe an hour ago, and we said active faith. I realized that I can, yes, I need some help, God, but you know what? I'm willing to go to work.
Yep.
I'm willing to put in the work to get myself better, get myself in a better situation, and really looking at things that way. And then the fourth thing I did, Nick, something that you and I as athletes, I know you've done it before. You've had an injury. You've had an injury, whether it was an ankle, knee, or whatever, and you tried to do the most basics of things, and you realized you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But instead of going, gosh, Jordan, I couldn't do it, you kind of laughed at it. Like, that's too funny, man. I can't, because that was your thing, right?
Yeah.
That's your thing. This is what happened to me. I was in rehab a number of times. A lot of times, because my stroke affected the left side of my body, they would want me to stand on one leg, on my left, just balance myself on my left, with my left leg. Well, right now, if I ask you to do it, you'd be able to do it probably, 15, 20 seconds, just stand there, right? And just on your left leg. I was only able to do that for like half a second. Half a second, like I would, literally like be out balanced. They have to hold me up. But I'll never forget the day when that was happening. I was smiling about it. I was smiling. Why, Nick? Because I understand that we're going to go through some things, you and I as athletes, as people, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, right? That we know for a fact are just temporary.
Yeah.
Because we feel that resilience inside of us. We know we are strong people. We know we can get through this. But I'm laughing at it because I know this is going to be a great story.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking forward, right? It's about the process.
Yeah.
It's that process, embracing that process. And you know all about that, Nick. Embracing the process to get better, embracing the process of knowing sometimes you're going to hit the wall. Sometimes you're going to drop a pass, right? Yep. Even though you caught 1,051 of them, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the number.
Yeah. So things are going to happen, but that's okay. It's all right. Let me get back on the horse and do it again. So yeah, that's what helped me, man. That's what helped me kind of get through things.
Is that where the book came from?
Yeah, you know what? And let me tell you, the book came from the fact that, Nick, you and I have heard the motivational speakers.
Yeah.
We've read the books. We've read the quotes, We've heard in church, God wouldn't allow, if you weren't strong enough, God wouldn't allow this to happen to you. Or, you can win anyway. All these different things from Jim Rohn and all this stuff. And what I realized, Nick, is when I actually practice that stuff, because it's easy to practice that stuff when things in life are good.
Yeah.
But now can you practice it when you really need it?
Exactly.
Is that stuff really true? This is when you really see, is that stuff true? So, Nick, guess what I did? So while I'm in the hospital, I had my son. I say, look, I want you to go to my library in my office and bring me several books and send them. Not that I'm going to read them, but I just want that positivity in my room, right? Because I'm thinking on these things that I've been hearing, all these speakers and this and that, and I'm actually doing my best to live out, what they were saying. And I realized, Nick, that it's true. A lot of the stuff that we've been hearing from speakers, things that you've read, they really work, man. The thing is, though, is a lot of people don't believe them because they haven't been put in a position where they actually use them and seeing things manifest because of them, or they were in a position where they chose not to. So I wrote an ebook early on in my, right after things happened. And one of the points I made was, don't abandon the ship. What I mean by that is all of this stuff was already in me. I had listened to all these positive things, messaging, all of these years. Now that I'm in this situation, don't abandon it. Don't go, and just go crazy and start worrying. let's lean on that stuff, whether it be the Word, whether it be Les Brown, Tony Robbins, all these things that we've been listening to, or a personal mentor or whatever. I chose to lean on it and actually believe that stuff. And so from that came the book. Why? Because as I was in the hospital bed, I can remember right now having my iPhone, having the notes app open, and just taking notes. By the time I was done, Nick, by the time I got out of the hospital and through recovery, I had just notes, hundreds of just notes, quotes, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I decided to put the book together from that. I didn't want to call it Different Strokes. Why? Because a million people have a book called Different Strokes, especially if they've had a stroke before. If you can look it up, you can see that.
Yeah.
I want it to be different. And that's why I called it In Different Strokes. Now, not indifferent to the stroke, like, oh, so what, I had a stroke. Indifferent to the process. The doctor said, look, man, 6 months before you even really start feeling somewhat normal. Us as athletes, Nick, normally we be like, shoot, man, I'm Nick. Man, I'm Nick Lewis. I'm about to come back right away, right?
Yeah.
No, Nick, I embraced it. And I said, you know what? That's what it is. I'm indifferent. Hey, you're going to have to start working out. You're going to have to start, doing some squeezes and stuff like. I was indifferent to the process. I'm going to do that.
You're competing with the process.
Again, once that started happening, and then that's when so with all these notes, I started putting those thoughts together and stories. I think it's some funny stuff in there as well, some transparent stuff as well. There's some things people have read in the book and go, wow, I had no idea that happened to you. You went through that. No wonder why you came through this stroke. Yeah, because like I said, I had strokes. I've been having strokes. This is how happens to be an official one.
Yeah. This year, I labeled this year New Year, New Mountain. Mm-hmm. And it was just a change of thought of the way I view a year. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before on my podcast, but the way is this. In our vision as people, we see New Year's as who I want to become. Mm-hmm. There is no plan in place. There's only a New Year's resolution, and then it gets hard, and then we go back to being who we were and say, well, there's always next year.
Yeah.
Right? This year, I don't know what point in life I'm at right now. I was just in a situation to where I don't know, I was kind of at a crossroads. Right? I didn't know what I was going to do. I had some ideas of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish. And I said, New Year, New Mountain, because I know where I'm trying to go is going to be hard. Where I'm trying to go, there's going to be different terrain. Where I'm trying to go, there's going to be different weather. I don't choose the terrain. I don't choose the weather. Only thing I can choose is to take another step.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing that allows me to withstand the hard times.
Yes, sir.
Because if I thought it was just going to be easy, then I say, you know what, I'm going to go out and do this. You can't, right? I had to dig deep within myself, but I've already prepared myself for COVID in January. I prepared myself for anything else already because I know it's going to be a mountain. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what obstacles were going to be in the way, but I knew they were going to be there. Mm-hmm. So when we got to them, I was like, you know what? It's just another one. How do we get there? How do we move around it? How do we move over it?
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
And this is the things that I've learned and I've loved about just kind of my life of overcoming, and then listening to your story about you overcoming and the obstacles. I almost felt like football chose me because I never loved football. But I had a chance to compete against some of the best players in the world. And that's all you had to tell me.
Yeah.
I love competition.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, let's go compete.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that, it excites me, man, because just to hear the mindset and to know the mindset behind what it takes, right? Everybody just listening to this might not have had a stroke, but everybody knows someone who has. But to have 3, dude, that's a powerful story. Be able to come back and to still do it.
And let me tell you, let me give you a great nugget from that, because I've used it. You know, and you know this. Use your pain. Use your pain, right? If you go through something, use it. And that's so the reason why I had 3 episodes of the stroke within 24 hours is because the clot actually moved a couple of times. So I actually have on video my neurologist talking through it. She said, Terrance, where the clot initially hit you in your brainstem, if it had stayed there, you would either be right now dead or permanently paralyzed if it stayed where it was. But what happened was the clot actually moved, and then it moved again. She said, but if it had stayed where it was, if it didn't break up like it did, you would be dead or paralyzed. So I thought of it as in life. I asked her, Doctor, are you telling me that a breakup was a good thing?
It is. Sometimes it is.
She said, absolutely. In this case, it was.
Yeah.
And it's so true in life, man. Sometimes we hold on to things, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a mindset, whether it be a career, whatever. We hold on to it, not understanding that the breakup is necessary. If that clock did not break up, Nick, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I know it.
There would be no book. There would be no Miracle Minnoy Motivation. There would be none of the things that I've been able to do. And so when I speak on stage, it doesn't even matter whether it's sales or nonprofit, whatever it may be, I'm always able to interject. I'm always able to work around my stories to make them fit that setting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like you said, no, not everybody has had a physical stroke.
Yeah.
But I promise you, 100% of your audience that watches this, they had some type of stroke in life, whether it be a divorce, whether it be an illness, a death in the family, loss of a job. I mean, I can go on and on and on. These are strokes that we have in our lives, and there are ways to get through them as well. And those are some of the things that I'll talk about.
So did you do speaking before 2015? Or did you become a speaker after this? And if you did do it before, did it change who you were as a speaker after?
Yeah. Okay, we're in my office, so I got to show you something, all right? Let me grab something. Okay?
Cool.
And I think you'll relate to this very well. So Nick, so first of all, so like I said, I've always spoken positive messaging to people.
Yep.
People would ask me to this project, you know, since I played ball and I played at division level, had some success, and that people would ask me, hey, can you come talk to my team? Or, you know, I've done things like that. Obviously in front of, you know, sales groups and things like that. I really got my, you know, with my chops with, when I got involved in network marketing, I got involved in Legal Shield back in early 2002. I started speaking, you know, all over the country as I built my organization. So a number of times I was in front of the room sharing the business, but also obviously when you share a business, you're sharing your story, your testimony, right? So I was in front of the room. So I've always had that. And I felt like motivational speaking is something that I probably want to do one day. One day I think I want to get involved. So and I'll text this to you. So this is my goals from 2015. So January 2015 is when I made these goals. February 2015 is when I had the stroke. Okay. So on one side, and I'll send this to you, Nick, but on one side, it's my 2015 goals. I just put my goals up, no problem. But on this side was my 2020 vision. And again, this was back in 2015.
Wow.
My 2020 vision. And on my 2020 vision, I said, just one of the many things that I wrote on here. One of the things here, I'm looking here, motivational speaking. That's what I said. This back in 2015, before the strokes, 2015. Next thing right after that, write a book. It's 2015. I said by 2020, I want to be a motivational speaker and I want to write a book by 2015, by 2020. So this was January. Now, February 2015, I had strokes. Now, here's the key. Miles Monroe said, all true visions will be tested for authenticity, Nick. That's what he said. All true visions will be tested for authenticity. So, Nick, you say that's you want to do this, right? So, Terrance, you said, so you want to be a motivational speaker. You got your goals up around your house, huh? Is that right? Okay. You want to write a book one day. Oh, you got, I see. You got this, I had this up in multiple areas of my house. It was tested for authenticity.
Yeah.
So the strokes happened a month later. Do I still believe in this stuff? Do I still want to do this stuff? You see what I'm saying? So you may have a vision, a goal, a thing that you're trying to accomplish right now. Understand that it's going to be tested. And it's only being tested to see, do you really mean that, Nick? Do you really want to? Right?
You know,
and so, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, when you pray for something, you got to go through something to get to where you want to be, right?
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
I would never pray for patience when I played football because I didn't want to ever be like, I'm not getting a ball because.
Right. I hear you, man. I hear you. And I tell you, so here I was putting this off to 2020. Think, I want to do this later on, right? Not knowing that I would go through this circumstance that would push me to do it 3-4 years in advance, right? Yeah. Because I feel like the man above had a plan for me, and he probably was, you know, Terrance, you've been sitting on this long enough. There's been many signs that you should be a speaker. You should do this. You should do that. But me being who I was at that time, going, I got time.
Right? So we say.
A lot of people, I mean, John Addison saying this, everybody lives in the, one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. Or I'm going to get to that one day. One day, someday, until they do what? They run out of days. Yeah. Then you don't have no more days. So now I live with a sense of urgency, Nick. I realized that at the age of 44, stout, looking good, thought I had life all together, money in the bank, this and that, everything going great. I realized that things can change just like that. Wealth without health is nothing. Yes, you're going to get some great health care. That's about it. But wealth without health, come on, man. It's no. Can I share something else that's going to really trip you out?
Let's go.
I got to share this, Nick.
Let's go.
The day that I had the first stroke, remember I told you it was a great day in Los Angeles?
Yep.
I'll send this to you, man. I made a Facebook post that day because it was so great. And I was listening to a rap station. And the rap, I forgot what song it was, but I know the rapper, it was Pusha T. Okay. One of the lines in his verse was, ask Steve Jobs, wealth don't buy you health. That's what he said. I forgot the name of the song. It was him, Kanye, somebody else, right? And I thought that was so, like, wow, like that's profound for, you know, especially a rapper, right, to say that.
Yeah.
I actually posted about it that day. Well, don't buy you help. Wow, Matt rappers, this and that, whatever. I made that post. Not knowing. So, and here I was out there doing what? Chasing wealth. Making sure I'm doing my good job so I can keep that money coming in, right?
Yep.
Not knowing 24 hours later, Nick, I'll be fighting for my life. You know what I'm saying? So here it was. So in my book, I have a chapter that's called The Universe Talks to You. Nick, and I know you know this because you're an athlete.
Yep.
And I know where you grew up. You've been through this. Things there are some things that are happening around you that are telling you something, but you don't know at the time. It's not till later where you go, gosh darn it, that's why that happened. That's what, you know what I'm saying? That's why I ran into that lady. That's why I heard that. And that's how I feel about listening to that rap song and posting it. And I use it in my talks. I show people the actual post from that day and say, here it was, me saying that, wealth don't buy you help. And within 24 hours, I had no help. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So it makes a profound point to live now. Live with a sense of urgency. Let's stop procrastinating in our lives, right? Push ourselves to do things now versus later. If we're human, of course, we're going to drop the ball when it comes to that sometimes. But let's try the best we can to live moving forward at all times and do things now versus later. And that's why the book has come. That's why I'm writing another book. And that's why I'm trying to launch, really get this speaking thing going once COVID comes back. Here's the deal, too, when it comes to speaking. People are, well, how you feel about, the industry now? I don't feel nothing. It'll come back, man. We've been here. I've been through many setbacks before, man. It'll come back. It may not be, and especially people tend to stop to realize that with COVID, eventually there will be a cure, something to help it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With that. So eventually people are going to be okay gathering in places. And I get the virtual thing, and that's all wonderful. That's great. But I'm a speaker you feel. You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how it is, man.
Yeah, because once you're in there, it's like being in church. That's what it's church. That's why you don't do church online. You got to be there. You got to feel the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
You can't feel it through a screen.
Yeah. Right. It's a nice substitute. It is. I ain't gonna lie. But there's nothing like being in front of the room or being in front of a speaker. And that stuff is going to come back at some point in time. Now is the time, like you mentioned earlier, now is when you planting the seeds.
That's it.
Now is when you're getting that website tight. Now is when you're getting that content right, getting tight, because within 6, 7, 8, 9 months, then it's going to get back rolling again. And you want to be ready.
You want to be ready.
Yep.
Man, you got to be ready, because there's so much that we go through. And what you said about living now. Have you wrote your 2020 goals with your 2025 vision?
I haven't done that yet, and thanks for saying that. And it's probably because I tend to now write more bite-sized, larger goals. So I haven't put them up like I did this, but I will. And thanks for putting me to the test on that too. I will do that. But I will say I wrote this down. I was working in the house yesterday, a couple of days ago, and I was listening to a minister, and he was saying, man, you need to start thinking of just these crazy, audacious goals. Goals where if you share them with people, they'll be like, are you serious? No way. They have to be.
I do that now.
Right? God wants you to come with those types of just crazy goals, right?
Yes, sir.
And I thought of one, and I wrote it down on this piece of paper, and I'm gonna keep it to myself, but just know that it has to do with, well, I'm just gonna say it. It's basically pay off my house and student loan in the next 6 years.
Oh wow!
And I'm talking about a brand new house.
Yeah.
Of almost $500,000 house.
California expensive.
Come on, right. But again, that's a bold. That's out there, right?
Yeah.
Because most people, 30, 20 years, maybe 30 years. No. I want to build. My plan is to keep working corporate America, build my side businesses, my legal shield business, build my speaking and my coaching. I don't see why if I put that all together in the right way, that I can, make that happen. And not do I want to do it for me, Nick. I don't want to do it for me. You want to know how I really want to do it? I want to be able to go to somebody and go, how much is your house payment? Oh, it's $2,000. Look, I got $1,000 on it every month. You feel me? Help somebody else.
That's it.
Get out of debt too.
Let's get it.
Instead of just everything being selfish for me. No, let me take care of my stuff so that I can help Nick.
Yeah.
Let me do my stuff or help that person that's struggling.
That's it.
See?
That's it. And you know, one of the things when you're talking about that, Les Brown, one of the quotes I always remember is, it's not that we don't reach our goals. It's just that we set our goals too low
And
and hit
Yep.
instead of setting it too high and miss.
And miss. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So true. So true. So look, Nick, I mean, this is far out. But if I shoot for that and I miss, I'll probably hit some pretty good goals on the way.
If you pay off 150, you like, I'm in a great spot. I done paid 150 on my house in 6 years.
Right, in 6 years.
Like that's, but see, that's where, and that's, you know, the rationality. Like I said, I created a concept that I can generate in the next 5 years, 5 to 7 years, $30 to $50 million a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People laugh. I said, okay.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
How you do it? I don't know. We're going to see if we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But even if I get to 3 to 5 million, I mean, a month.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pay 80% back out.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's I don't want to become a billionaire without making hundreds of millionaires first.
Exactly.
Right? This is where, and this is when you get good people doing good things and you can combine them, you can create momentum and you can create a wave that will sustain and change. And once you do something that changes other organizations, because you force them to change, because you realize that they're using the same out-of-date mentality and systems that are no longer benefiting the people working. Right?
No, you're absolutely right.
That's what I'm going after.
Yeah.
I'm ready to change the structure.
Hey, man. Hey, look, I truly believe, Nick, one thing that going through the thing with the strokes is that I feel like if I can come through that, I can do anything. But not only that, if I can come through that, I can believe people can do this about it. Can you see me, Nick? My battery.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. My battery running out. But is that I believe in others. You get what I'm saying? You believe it, I'll believe it. Let's do it. If you truly believe it, I'm with you. Because I get it, Nick, that if you get 1% of that, you're doing pretty darn good.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm with you, man. And I love it. I love your mindset. I love the fact, the way we met and have come together, and the fact that we think so much alike, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal, man, how people, the law of connection, the way things happen. It's just awesome, brother. It really is.
Man, I appreciate you coming through on the Lulu Logic podcast. It's so awesome to have you stop through. You know, like you said, we met a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Through Legal Shield.
Yeah.
Had a couple great conversations. You joined the Lulu Logic Facebook group, and I love you posting in there.
Yeah, I love just scroll. Hey, I mean, I say something all the time. Just scrolling through, seeing some of the stories, man, and see you guys going hard, man. I love it. It's inspiring.
Yeah. So, you know, I appreciate you, man, and I just want to say thank you. If you can share some parting words with people that might be going through a struggle right now in their own life with COVID, or in a transition they're in, transitioning because they lost their job. If you can just share something with them that can motivate them to have hope and understanding and moving forward, and just challenging that mountain that, you know, one day you will get to the top.
Yeah. Let me say this for sure. And this is something I say at all of my talks, and I've had it on my website before, or just recently changed it, but it's something that sits with me so greatly. And that is, embrace change. Delight in the lessons of disruption. Eventually, they both serve you. Embrace change. Delight in the lessons of disruption. eventually they both gonna serve you. So no matter what you're going through right now, try to find a way to embrace it. Now, I know that's not easy to do. We're humans. So we probably take a knee first. By the way, there's nothing wrong with taking a knee. Boxers do it all the time.
Yeah.
They're taking a beat, and what do? They take a knee sometimes just to kind of gather themselves. And some boxers, right, have taken a knee, Nick, have risen up to win the fight.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes you're going to have to do that. But at some point, you must muster up the energy, the courage to eventually go, to give it a hug and go, you know what, it's on. You're an athlete out there. You're a former athlete out there. You've been through some fights before. You done took some of them L's.
Yeah.
You done been injured before, right? You know what I'm saying? Embrace it. Embrace the change. Embrace the challenge. Delight. Take something from those lessons when you're going through a disruption. That's basically what I did. Everything that I went through, I documented it. Matter of fact, Nick, the reason why there's videos of me learning to walk again and pictures of me walking again, and pictures of my face and all this stuff when this happened, because even at that time, my mindset was, this is going to be a hell of a story.
Yeah.
I'm about to create a story. We need to document this. Take the video, take the picture right now, because I am going to use this. That's how we were talking about confidence earlier, right?
That's it.
Confidence, believe it. I'm going to come back, from this. So that's the type of confidence I feel people should have. Not facing reality, because reality is sometimes you are going to get punched in the stomach and take a gut punch and you have to take a knee. That's okay. But eventually you got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to do it. And once you do that, delight in the lessons, because eventually they're both going to help you, down the line, whether it's with the recovery process, with the bouncing back, whatever, or when you're 5 years down the road and you're working on a book, or you're building a business, or building your podcast, or whatever, those lessons that you learn from that situation that you went through are going to serve you even, at that time. Last thing I'll share is this, Nick. Serve somebody else through your situation. I always say you want to be a person that gives back. What do I mean by that? Give while you're on your back. Oh man, see, it's so easy to give when everything is good, hunky-dory. No, but when you're in a bad place, can you pray for somebody else?
Yeah.
Can you wish somebody else wins even when you're losing? You see, it's being able to constantly give off that type of energy into the universe. That is what serves you when you're in a situation. You've made so many positive deposits into other people, like you do every day, Nick, and the thousands of fans who watch you play football for those, 14 years in the CFL or whatever, right? You poured it, you made deposits into their lives. So when you go through something, you're trying to build something, whatever, because of all of those deposits you're making, the universe allows you to make some withdrawals. For me, that withdrawal was some healing.
Yep.
Right? Me walking again. So for allowing my businesses to keep going, even though I had to step away from it. You feel me?
Yep.
So those are my parting words, man. I'm really passionate about that, obviously. And it's something I try to leave with all audiences when I speak one-on-one. Again, literally, I was with a coaching client within the last 2 hours, and we were talking about just some of those same things. So look, man, I appreciate you having me on. Look, we've been knowing each other. We've been knowing each other a short time, but I felt like I've been knowing you for much, much longer than that. Like I said to yourself months ago, I'm really proud of you. I like what you're doing, man. And I'm inspired by what you're doing as well. And I'm not afraid or feel like I'm too old and this and that to give the young brother some props on what he's doing and let you know that, what you're doing is serving me as well. And I'm honestly honored to be a guest on your podcast, man. And I'm definitely open to serve anytime you need me to.
Hey, I appreciate it. And when you were talking and some of the topics you're talking about, I tell people all the time when, when you can't find value in yourself, find it in serving others. Right? Because I know, I tied my value to sports for a long time, and it took a long time to get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
But I found my value in serving others. And
it always helps, man.
It always helps.
Really does.
You'll
really
find
does.
it there. And when you were talking about taking a knee, I don't know if you ever heard the Georgia Tech chaplain give the pregame speech.
No, I'm gonna have to write that down.
Man, oh man. He said,
he talked about that?
Yeah. He says, we're going to fight until we can't fight no more. Then we're going to lay down and bleed a while. Then we're going to get back up and fight again.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, we're going to take a beat. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
We're going to lay down and we're going to take it for a little bit, but we get back up, we're going to fight again.
Yeah,
so
that's
powerful.
right. I love it, man.
Powerful.
Because it's so true, man. Yeah, hey, man, I appreciate you too, man. I'm excited for you, man. I really am. And I'm, again, excited to be part of your journey. Excited that, we were linked together by a mutual, your childhood friend, right? And someone that met 14, 15 years ago through business. Man, it's just funny how life works, man. And I really feel like you were supposed to be in my life and me and yours. And, nothing happens by accident, man. It's supposed, things are happening the way they're supposed to happen. So, man, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your knowledge, sharing your leadership and wisdom with everyone, and your quotes and just your story. It's a powerful story. And, this podcast is cool because I get to take a little piece of everyone with me along the journey, and I get to learn so much that's going to give me more value. And I appreciate you for coming on and sharing this with me and my audience. So thank you again. Quick, before we get off, I almost forgot. Tell the people how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, you know what? You can, on all platforms, Miracle Minnoy, Minnoy Motivation. Miracle Minnoy Motivation. You can catch me there on Instagram. You can catch me there on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel that I mess with every now and then. But that's how, TerranceMinnoy.com, TerranceMinnoy, TerranceMinnoy.com is my website. So you can see me live. You can see me not live, but see me in action on there. I'm going to give a book from there as well. By the way, I'm working on a new book, Nick, so definitely we'll touch base probably the first of the year. A new book called 10-Man Leadership coming out. And so I'm excited, about that as well. And so, man, I'm looking forward to coming back and sharing with the audience, man.
That's it. I know I'm going to get the book. And do they have the audio book? Can I get it on Amazon, my Kindle? Or do I need
And as far as in different strokes, my first book that I wrote, yes, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle as well. I didn't do it in audiobook, and people are kicking me because I didn't, because they go, I can hear your voice while I'm reading, and so I need to do that. But with the second book, I do plan to have it, hard copy, audio as well, that'll be available. So, man, I'm excited about this book because it's really gonna be more so about leadership, but it's going to have those personal stories that I think people can relate to.
Yeah, it's crazy for me. I can't really get into audiobooks.
Really?
I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to I can listen to you speak on stage, but something about just putting on an audiobook is just, I don't remember anything really. I need to physically read it to remember it. But if you're on stage and I'm just listening to it in the car or something, I'm taking it. I'm getting it. But like, for some reason, put on an audiobook in the car, it just doesn't process.
Right. And you know what? For me, Nick, I've got into them over the last 2 or 3 years, and how I do it is I listen and I put my timer on, say like 30, because I drive a long way sometimes for work to accounts and stuff like that. I'll put my timer on, so I put 30 minutes. I'm only going to listen to this 30 minutes, right? So that tells me while I'm driving on this freeway, just focus on what's going on just for 30 minutes. Then once it's done, I'm done. Then maybe the next day or day after, I'll come back and I'll do 30 minutes. I got to do it in try that, little bite sizes, and then I usually get more, because I definitely there are a number of books. I mean, I would love to read, but obviously, you know, time and
Yep.
things like that. But being able to listen, even if you just listen to a little bit of it, is great. But I hear you though on audiobooks. So.
As soon as I finish The Winter Effect, I'm gonna get on your book.
Hey man, it's all good, brother. It's here, and by God's grace, it's gonna always be here. So whenever, man, I appreciate your support, my brother.
Yes, indeed. All right, we out.
Yes, sir.